Have you ever noticed how women start behaving differently around certain men? Not just any men, but sigma males. They'll hold your gaze a little too long, then quickly look away the moment you notice. They'll act curious yet unsettled, because you don't fit into any box they're used to. Most men are predictable. Women can easily read their emotions, steer their focus, and anticipate their reactions. But a sigma? You're the exception, unreadable, detached, and deeply self-contained. That air of mystery drives them insane. According to psychology, people crave predictability. Certainty makes us feel secure. But when someone breaks that pattern, when they can't be figured out, it creates fascination, even obsession. And that's exactly what happens when a woman crosses paths with a sigma male. You're calm, unavailable, impossible to impress. And that combination makes you dangerously attractive. But here's where it gets fascinating. Instead of confessing their attraction, women start acting off. Some will subtly test your patience. Some will try to shift your energy. Others will play quiet psychological games, all in an attempt to uncover what's really going on behind your composed exterior. Today, we're diving into 5 unusual things women do when they realize you're a sigma male. Once you understand these hidden behaviors, you'll start seeing them everywhere, and you'll never look at their reactions the same way again. Number 1. They test your independence, but secretly love it. Women have an instinctive need to test men. It's part of their subconscious way of assessing emotional strength, confidence, and authenticity. But when they come across a man who doesn't fit into the typical social mold, a man who doesn't seek attention, doesn't compete for validation, and doesn't bend to social expectations, those tests become more frequent, more subtle, and far more intense. And that man is the sigma male. At first, the tests seem innocent. They'll ask light-hearted questions like, "So, what do you usually do on weekends?" or "Do you spend a lot of time with your friends?" It sounds casual, but those questions are not random. They're quiet feelers, gentle probes meant to reveal whether you truly live life on your own terms or if your independence is just an act. You see, true independence is rare. Most men rely on social approval. They need constant attention, validation, and emotional reassurance to feel secure in themselves. But a sigma? He moves differently. He doesn't seek permission or applause. He doesn't need a crowd to feel important. He walks his path quietly, guided only by his own principles. And that energy, that calm, detached self-sufficiency, both confuses and attracts women on a primal level. So, what do they do next? They push boundaries. They'll delay replies to your messages just to see if you'll double text. They might cancel plans at the last minute to gauge your reaction, to see if you get upset, beg for attention, or stay grounded. They'll act cold, distant, or indifferent, not because they've lost interest, but because they want to see if your emotional balance is real or just a performance. What they don't expect is your silence. They don't expect the calm detachment, the quiet, unshakable presence that doesn't bend under emotional games. And when you don't react, when you stay composed, focused, and centered, something shifts in them. Suddenly, they're the ones chasing. They start texting first. They initiate plans. They show up where you are. Because the truth is, a woman can't respect a man she can control. But she'll fall deeply for a man who stands solid in his independence, no matter how much she tries to shake it. That's the paradox of attraction with sigma males. They test your independence hoping to find a crack, but end up falling for the very strength they tried to break. Number 2. They try to figure you out, and it drives them crazy. Most men are transparent. You can read their emotions like a headline, when they're nervous, when they're excited, when they're trying to impress, or when they're desperate to be liked. But a sigma male is the opposite. He's calm, controlled, mysterious. He doesn't reveal much, and that silence, that stillness, becomes magnetic. Women are used to decoding men with ease. They're used to subtle signals, body language, tone, all the cues that expose what a man is thinking or feeling. But when they meet a sigma, all those usual tools fail. The sigma doesn't give away emotional breadcrumbs. He doesn't overshare. He doesn't chase or explain himself. And that's when curiosity takes over. They start to wonder, why is he so calm when everyone else is trying to impress me? Why does it feel like he's observing me, instead of trying to win me over? Does he even like me, or is he just testing me? At first, it's subtle. They study your expressions, your tone, your silence. Then it becomes deeper. They start analyzing everything, your texts, your pauses, your reactions to the world. You become a psychological puzzle they can't put down. They'll ask personal questions just to peek inside your mind. Not because they need answers, but because they're drawn to your emotional stillness. They'll test your emotional temperature, maybe by teasing you, by disagreeing with you, or by withholding affection, just to see if they can trigger a reaction. But the sigma rarely reacts. He responds, with logic, calm, and deliberate control. No emotional outbursts, no need to prove anything. And that unshakable composure drives women insane in the best way possible. Because in a world full of men who overshare and overcompensate, a man who doesn't reveal everything becomes an obsession. They'll lie awake at night replaying your words, wondering what you really meant. They'll look for clues in your silence. They'll crave your attention, not because you gave it freely, but because you withheld it with purpose. And just when they think they've finally cracked your code, you drop one unexpected line. Something profound. Something that cuts through their mind and lingers. You show a glimpse of your inner depth, then retreat back into silence. That unpredictability, the rhythm between presence and mystery, keeps them hooked. Because mystery isn't confusion. It's power. And the Sigma wields it effortlessly, not by pretending to be mysterious, but by simply being comfortable with who he is, without needing to be understood. Number 3. They try to make you jealous, but it backfires. When a woman realizes she's dealing with a Sigma male, she instinctively feels something different. Your calm detachment. Your quiet confidence. Your lack of emotional volatility. It's attractive, but also deeply unsettling. So what does she do? She tries to test you. Not through direct confrontation, but through subtle emotional games designed to pull a reaction out of you. She might mention another man's name, casually, as if it's nothing. She might laugh a little louder when someone else is around. She might talk about how so many guys hit on her, or how her ex still messages her. It's not that she's trying to hurt you, at least not consciously. She's trying to measure you. She wants to see if you're like the others. If you'll flinch, get possessive, or try to prove your worth. Because most men do. The average guy takes the bait instantly, he gets defensive, starts asking questions, gets clingy, or cold. He begins playing her game, feeding her ego, showing that she has power over him. But not you. Not the Sigma. You see through it immediately. You understand that her attempts to trigger jealousy are not acts of power, they're signs of insecurity. They're a reflection of her need to feel desired, validated, and in control. And that's exactly why you don't bite. You stay calm, collected, grounded. Your energy doesn't shift, your tone stays level, your body language relaxed. You neither reward nor punish her behavior. You simply observe. That indifference, that emotional discipline, disarms her completely. Because she's used to her tricks working. She's used to men fighting for her attention, proving their devotion, or competing for her validation. But when you remain unmoved, it rattles her entire understanding of male behavior. She starts trying harder, mentioning more names, creating subtle competition, or posting something online just to see if you'll notice. But you don't. You never chase what's trying to manipulate you. And that's when the tables turn. The moment she realizes that none of her tactics work, something inside her flips. She starts to question herself. Why isn't he reacting? Does he even care? Why do I suddenly care so much about what he thinks? Now she's the one emotionally invested. Now she's the one feeling uncertain, confused, and pulled in by your composure. Because deep down, women don't actually want a jealous man. They don't respect emotional volatility. What they truly crave, even if they'll never admit it, is a man who is so sure of himself that he doesn't feel the need to compete. A man who is confident in his presence. A man whose value isn't determined by anyone else's attention. When you demonstrate that your emotions are under your control, not hers, not anyone's, she recognizes something rare. A man who is untouchable. And in that moment, her little jealousy game collapses completely. Because you didn't just pass the test, you rewrote the rules. Number 4. They keep coming back, even after walking away. One of the clearest, most telling signs that a woman has crossed paths with a true Sigma male is that she leaves, but she never truly moves on. At first, it's the mystery that draws her in. Your quiet confidence. Your self-contained energy. That unspoken dominance that doesn't need to announce itself. To her, it's magnetic, something she can't quite explain, but can't stop thinking about. You're different. You don't seek her attention, yet somehow, you have it completely. You don't flatter her with words, your presence alone does what most men try to achieve with effort. You're calm, centered, and grounded in your own world. And at first, she finds that thrilling. But over time, it unnerves her. She starts to notice that the usual dynamics don't work on you. You don't bite when she plays games. You don't panic when she pulls away. You don't compete for her time or validation, because your sense of worth doesn't depend on it. To most women, that kind of control is foreign. They're used to men who orbit them like planets around the sun, constantly checking in, constantly proving, constantly chasing. But you move like your life has purpose beyond her. And that, ironically, is what makes her crave you more. Still, she might walk away. She'll tell herself you're too distant, too hard to read, too emotionally unavailable. She'll convince herself she needs something simpler. So, she drifts toward men who make her feel temporarily powerful. And for a while, it feels easier. Those men text all day, compliment without pause, and make her the center of their universe. It feels good, until it doesn't. Because over time, that constant attention starts to feel heavy. That endless validation begins to feel hollow. Those predictable gestures, the same jokes, the same compliments, the same emotional neediness, all start to blur together. Then one night, when the noise dies down and she's alone with her thoughts, she remembers you. The silence. The calm. The way you made her think before she spoke. The way your presence demanded respect without words. The way your eyes seemed to see through her, not just at her. And suddenly, all those other men feel small, predictable, replaceable, forgettable. Because deep down, she knows what she lost wasn't a man who didn't care. It was a man who didn't need her to care back. That realization hits harder than she expects. And that's when it happens, she comes back. It might be a text out of nowhere. A casual comment on something you post. Or just a sudden reappearance in your orbit, as if she never left. But make no mistake, it's not random. It's instinct. Because once a woman experiences the presence of a Sigma male, it rewires the way she sees men. She realizes how rare it is to meet someone so self-contained, so emotionally disciplined, so free. She might not even understand it fully, but she feels it. The peace. The depth. The challenge. The gravity of your energy. That's why she keeps coming back. Because you're not just another man she met. You're the mirror that showed her the difference between attention and connection, between attraction and respect. And that kind of experience? It doesn't fade. It haunts her, quietly, deeply, endlessly. Number 5. They try to fix you, even when nothing's broken. One of the strangest, yet most revealing reactions women have when they meet a Sigma male is the impulse to fix him. They can't help it. It's almost instinctual. They see your independence and assume it comes from pain. They sense your solitude and mistake it for loneliness. They interpret your calm detachment as emotional damage, as if you're carrying wounds that just need the right woman to heal. In their minds, you're not choosing solitude, you're trapped in it. You're not detached, you're hiding. You're not mysterious, you're guarded. So they take it upon themselves to help. They'll encourage you to open up more, to be vulnerable, or to let someone in. They'll suggest that you should be more social, smile more, or express yourself more often, not realizing that your silence is your expression. They do all this with good intentions, or so they believe. But beneath the surface, what's really happening is a quiet clash of worldviews. You live by self-mastery, they live by emotional exchange. You find peace in solitude, they find validation in connection. You value strength through stillness, they see strength as something loud and visible. So when they meet a man like you, who operates completely outside of that framework, it unsettles them. They think, if I can just get him to open up, he'll finally be happy. But what they don't realize is, you already are happy. You're not distant because you fear love, you're distant because you don't need it to define you. You're not cold, you're careful. You're not broken, you're built differently. You've done the inner work most people avoid. You've faced your demons, made peace with your solitude, and learned to stand firmly in your own energy. You don't crave emotional rescue, you crave authenticity. And that's something few people can offer. So when a woman tries to fix you, it's not malice, it's misunderstanding. She's trying to apply rules that don't work on you. Rules that might have worked on other men, men who bend easily, who adapt to please, who fear being alone. But the Sigma doesn't bend. You don't adapt to validation. You don't mold yourself to fit someone else's idea of wholeness. And when she realizes that, when she sees that her usual methods don't affect you, something profound shifts inside her. At first, it frustrates her. She can't control you emotionally, can't predict your reactions, can't guide your growth the way she's done with others. But over time, that frustration turns into fascination. She begins to understand something rare. That you're not a man who needs fixing, you're a man who inspires reflection. You don't need her to complete you, you make her question why she thought completion required another person in the first place. Eventually, she stops trying to change you, and starts changing the way she sees men. She realizes that strength doesn't always roar. That peace isn't weakness. That silence can speak louder than affection. And in that realization, you leave a permanent mark. Because the truth is, once a woman encounters a Sigma male, every other man feels slightly less grounded, slightly less sure of himself, slightly less real. You become the quiet standard she measures others against, even if she'll never admit it. Not because you were perfect, but because you were whole. And in a world full of men seeking to be fixed, you reminded her what it looks like to already be complete. That's why she can't forget you. Not because you needed her, but because you showed her what it means not to. Final words. If you found yourself nodding along to any of these points, then you already understand what it means to walk the Sigma path. It's not a lifestyle. It's not a trend. It's a way of being, one that demands self-awareness, emotional discipline, and a level of inner strength most people never reach. Because being a Sigma male isn't about rebellion for the sake of standing out. It's about independence for the sake of staying true. It's about choosing peace over validation, purpose over attention, and solitude over superficial company. You've learned to live in a world that constantly tells you to conform, yet you continue to walk your own road, quietly, confidently, and unapologetically. And that's rare. That's why people don't always understand you. That's why some envy you. That's why others are drawn to you, even when they can't explain why. Because your silence speaks louder than most people's noise. Your calm presence reveals their chaos. And your refusal to be controlled exposes just how easily others are. So if you're still here, listening, reflecting, maybe even smiling a little, that means something. It means you recognize yourself in these truths. It means you felt the weight of being misunderstood, yet never compromised who you are. And that, my friend, is what separates the Sigma from the rest. So drop a comment below, share your experience. I want to see how many of you out there truly get it. Tell me which part hit the deepest. Because your story might be the one that inspires another Sigma to keep walking his path, no matter how alone it feels sometimes. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, what's coming next will take everything you've heard here and make it click on a deeper level. We're about to go even further into the mindset, the philosophy, and the spiritual depth that makes the Sigma male one of the rarest and most misunderstood archetypes on this planet. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and as always, walk your path, silently, but with power.